Cut. Cut.
Cut.
Cut. Cut.
It is. It's not that serious. This isn't going on your resume. Hi, Kevin. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
How you doing, man?
Wait, hold on. Cut. Are we acting like I just ran into you? Like we haven't been talking for the past hour and a half?
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm hot.
It's humid. It's getting humid.
Yeah, but it's not too bad. We got these cold beers.
Should we open them now?
Yeah, let's.
It's about time, right?
I don't have fingernails. Fuck.
Need help?
Yeah, I need help.
Be a big boy. Cheers. That's nice. What do you do in Seoul?
Oh, 안녕하십시오. Kevin. Graffiti Chinese. Cut. My name is Kevin. I'm a designer and creative director in Seoul, and I've been doing that, I don't know, feels like forever. And now I have a small little creative studio here called Oko Champions. I'm working at that.
For the past interviews, we started with how we know each other, so maybe we can start from there.
We met when you came to work at Magpie, right? We didn't know each other before that?
No.
Which is weird because I felt like when you first got to the office, I feel like we hit it off like pretty quick. So it feels like I knew you longer than that.
Where do you live?
I live at the end of line 6 in the loop in a neighborhood called Yeonsinnae. I won't get into the details where exactly I live.
Is that it? Why Yeonsinnae?
That's a good question. Everybody asks me. But really, nobody likes to come visit me because it's kind of far. And I live like maybe 10 minutes walk from the subway stations towards the mountains. But that's actually why I like living out there. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the city, and then I like to ride my motorcycle. So ride for 10 minutes and you're riding out in Bukhansan. I'm connected all the time, every day, talking with people. I like to not and just go.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Yeonsinnae is chaos. It's hectic over there. It's the Hongdae. It's the Myeongdong of Unpyeonggu. College kids, high school kids go to party and to drink soju or whatever. Streets are disgusting. There's so many people. Sorry, I'm talking shit about you.
Maybe it'll be less hectic when they're done with the construction. We'll see what the goo has in store for us.
The goo.
Yeah. Before I moved to Seoul, I lived in Chicago. The neighborhood I lived in was like a little bit rough. And so I miss that raw energy a little bit. And I think a lot of times I have a hard time finding that in Seoul. Grittiness and the dirtiness. Also, there's great little like cafes and restaurants in that area. So it's important to have that part of Unpyeonggu. Otherwise, where's everyone gonna go party?
But you've lived in other parts of the city as well, right?
When I first came to Korea, I lived in Yeonidong, which was nice, very chill area. Then after that, I moved to Jeju for a little while. And then after that, I moved back to Seoul, to Sangsu. I lived there for a little bit and then moved out to Unpyeonggu after that.
Why Seoul? And what makes you stay?
That's a good question. It's like something I think about often because I always think about, you know, in 5 years where I want to be. And obviously one of the options is being in Seoul. I really love the balance between like, you know, you've got mountains, you've got the river, you have the little bustling areas. It's kind of has everything. I think that's what's special about Seoul.
It's the balance?
Yeah, there's like a really awesome balance of stuff to do. You can see it growing rapidly in like a bunch of different ways. Culture, community. I feel like I'm a little bit out of the loop these days. I feel like when I lived in Mapogu, there was kind of a lot more like exhibition spaces and things like that were in walking distance. And now there's less in my neighborhood. So I feel a little bit out of touch, but I still, you know, see it online and see the community and culture growing a lot and try to be involved when I can.
What are some of your struggles as an expat living here, trying to adjust?
I think one of the biggest struggles I had when I first got to Korea was like trying to dive into the community. I guess it was kind of like intimidating to try to get involved with a community other than the expat community, just because obviously it's like my native language and it was easy to like crack a joke, and I like cracking jokes. Something that would be easy back home wasn't easy here at first. For me, a lot of that boiled down to like learning the language, because after I started learning Korean, I don't know, it opens you up to understanding what people are thinking a little bit more and how they interact in situations.
Wait, how fluent are you in Korean? I never speak to you in Korean, so I don't know.
Nobody does. Yeah, I'd probably be in the intermediate zone. So when I first got here, I always compared it to where I came from. And because of that, like if you start comparing, it makes everything so much less special. Until the last 3 years, I was always comparing stuff. You start putting up walls that I don't think you mean to. And if you can let those walls down and just be like, this is what it's like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what it's like, you know, everywhere. Your life gets 10 times better after you just like, you can't be local until you stop associating with, that's not the right word I'm looking for. You don't let yourself live that life fully. Evolving yourself in the culture, like submersing yourself in the culture, I think you can't really do that until you just kind of like, even with design too.
Actually, we can kind of talk about the graphic within the city.
I think about this a lot, obviously, for my work. I feel weird talking about like Korean design. Obviously, I'm not Korean, so it's like kind of a touchy thing for me to comment on, but from my eyes, it's grown a ton since I've been here.
What are some of the brands that you think are excelling graphically that you maybe refer to as inspirations?
That's tough.
That's tough?
That's a real tough one. For me, when I'm thinking about design, I try to disconnect on purpose. What works better for the projects that I work on is like understanding what is around, but not looking to it for inspiration necessarily, because I try not to make something that is already around. Like, that's not so much fun for everybody. You know, throw something new at a canvas. I like to look around and go to exhibitions and see like what's happening in Korea culture, obviously. I try not to follow it so much.
Kind of step out.
Yeah, maybe that's a better word. Step out of the popular style.
Maybe this is a bit too cliche, but where do you draw your inspirations from then?
Cartoons.
Cartoons.
Yeah, I think a lot of my inspiration comes from like, not so much other artists, but other media. I watch a lot of cartoons and like listen to a lot of music and nature. I feel like those are probably what I can look to more for inspiration other than like designers. As a designer, we have to solve problems and make things work, and I like to think about it from a different medium perspective. How someone making a manga will illustrate an explosion in like a new and innovative way. And so I really like stepping outside the box that way.
So does that mean that you kind of go around the city without looking around?
No, I think it's really important as a designer to always be aware of your surroundings. And I think actually a really fun place to draw inspiration from is like things that aren't designed. You know, a mom and pop shop, how they've like thrown a font on a sign. I feel like the people who make those signs aren't confined to like a designer's mind. Like this needs to be like this and this needs to be like this. I find that more fresh and inspiring than like graphic design.
Tell me Kevin B approved hidden gems.
Oh, I got it, some gems. Actually, one of my favorite places to go, I don't even know the name.
It's that hidden?
It's so hidden. Actually, sometimes we'll ride the motorcycle out to Goyang. Out there's this little farm village that I like to go to, and there's a little mushroom farm and like a flower garden with like a little greenhouse attached to it. And in the greenhouse, there's a cafe. That's like one of my all-time favorite spots to go to. And I would tell you the name, but I don't even know the name. I just know how to get there.
How do you get there?
I should draw the map. I'm gonna draw backwards for the camera. Like, you start at my house, you come here, you go through Gupabar, past, you swing.
This is super helpful, by the way.
A right.
Oh, right. Okay.
Past Bukhansan, there's a mountain that we call Swingers Peak. Do you know what that means?
No, I
Swingers
don't know.
Peak. Swingers is like where you go and like swap.
Cut.
Yeah. You know, on the weekends, it's like where all the ajummas and ajummas hang out, and like tons of tents up there and people hanging out. It's really great. So we try to go during the week, because on weekends it's Swingers Peak.
What do you like about the farm cafe?
That there's no one there ever. It's just like you go and chill. There's like a couple benches there. There's a swing. I get to like...
Are any spots like within the city?
I think about that often too. I feel like there's a lot of places that really kind of helped me grow into the person I have been since wait, I'm gonna start over. Cut! That's tough. You know, I feel out of the loop a little bit because since I moved out to Impyeonggu, I don't get around to the areas I used to. 1969.
Channel.
Yeah, our friends are the owners there. And I feel like that, for me, is what really solidified Korean night culture for me. Within my friends group, we didn't really go to like clubs. We'd go to like, you know, little music venues, and that was kind of my introduction to Korean nightlife. Like what else was there? There's Exit and MWG next to that. That was pretty clubby, right?
Those are all in
Hongdae. That was in Hongdae, and then 1969 was in Hapjeong, and that was moved to Yeonnam.
But you obviously don't get to go as often nowadays because of COVID?
Yeah, COVID, and like my house is a little far now, and so usually if I'm going out, it's kind of in my hood. I wish there was a little bit more of a community. Like I always try to say hi to my neighbors, but they always kind of like look down and walk into their houses. But understandable. I'm a scary guy.
On the outside.
And on the inside.
What is it about channel 1969 that is so fascinating?
There's a few other places that have underground music, like DJs and bands and indie scene stuff. Like I said, when I first got to Korea, that was kind of what threw me into a familiar feeling with Koreans and expats.
But in a very pleasant way.
Yeah, it was awesome. In a sad way, my life's been really like revolved around my work. The past couple of years, I've like really just been working a ton and like bunkering down, and I'm starting to realize, wow, like a lot of my time has gone by. I need to like start getting back out and like experiencing it more again. It doesn't help that I live a little bit farther out, but yeah, there's like a part of that I miss from living a little bit further down.
What are some of the areas within Seoul that you try to avoid?
There's one time a year that there's really one spot I try to avoid. It's Itaewon on Halloween. I love Halloween and I love getting spooky, but it's just like, that's wild. Yeah, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of chaos, like, and I'm a little more reserved. Like, if you want to go rage, that's a great spot to do it. I don't rage too hard, so that's about it. Like, I feel like I like being in Korean areas, like where it feels Korean, but I don't think there's anything wrong with like cruising around. It's good. I think it's refreshing.
If there's anything that you wish that people just could stop doing.
Littering. Stop littering.
Littering. But also there's a lack of trash.
There's no garbage cans, which doesn't help.
One of my pet peeves is like at bus stations, people would line up for a bus to come. But then when one bus comes, the next one would stop behind the first bus. And then if this lineup of people was waiting for this bus, the bus wouldn't let people in here. Everybody goes here. And then it's just a repetition of terrible chaos happening, everybody crossing their ways. I hate that.
More than littering?
More than littering, because like we said, it's not entirely on the people because there's a lack of trash bins.
Cool.
I have to ask you the official last question.
Oh right, I saw this in the interview.
A summary of yourself ending with, I'm a local.
That's really tough for me because after I watched the interviews, I was like, oh fuck, like what am I gonna say about that?
Like, do you think you are a local here?
That's a good question. Obviously, on the outside, I'm an expat. And there's a big part of me, like culturally, that's an expat. But I'd like to think slowly but surely I'm becoming a local. That's a really tough question, but an important one to ask, especially someone who's been here as long as I have been. How long have you been here?
6 years. But it's weird because the longer I stay here, the more Canadian I feel. So the graph goes like this.
A little different for me, I guess. I'm definitely not treated like a Korean here. What was the question? Okay. Do I look in the camera?
Yeah.
I'm gonna build it up here. Ready? This is the cliffhanger everyone's been waiting for the finale. My name is Kevin. Ah, fuck, man. Why is it so hard? Cut.
It is too much.
It's so hard. I don't know why it's so hard for me. But it's hard to be like, this thing, and this thing equals local. Or me. What is a local? Like, am I local to just my neighborhood? To Korea? Like, where am I local to? I don't even know the answer to that question. I try to be local on my street, but everyone avoids me. The local ajummas who hang out under the 은행나무, like on the corner, like I walk past them and I was like, how do you say? And they just, one day I'll get them to say hi to me. When that day comes, I'll be able to say I'm a local. And I can sit under the 은행나무 with them. Okay, I'll really answer this question now. Ready? Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Kevin, I live in Yeonsinnae. I like Yeonsinnae. No, I like Untitled. I like the mountains. I like my friends. And I like my family. And that's about it. That's a bad way to do it though, right?
Why is it a bad way?
I don't know. Everyone else's was quite exciting, I thought. It was like, I'm a lover of my newlywed life.
You're newlywed? What are you talking about? Kevin, it's not that serious. This isn't going on your resume. Okay,
my name is Kevin. I like Untitled. I like the mountains. I like my family and my friends. And I hope one day I can sit under that tree with the local ajummas. I am a local. That was it.
That was it. Nice. Done. That is it.
Well, I hope there's something useful